Hey, it's been a little while since doing a live Sudoku. Um, this one was posted by someone on Sudoku who said, "Please, I've given up." And they just had a photo of this. They were doing it on paper. And so I want to do this video to show how to use some notation. Now, this is not the standard notation that everyone uses. It's um, sort of built on top of that, similar to that, but it's one has a little extra twist that I developed myself. But here we go. I like to just go one at a time and start filling out some marks, and I'll explain what they mean as I go. So the first one I'm going to put is here. It means these two values, between these two cells, one of those has to be a 1. Don't know which one yet, but one of them has to be. So we mark a little 1 there, and then I put parentheses around it to say between these two, one of those has to be a 1. And we know that because it can't be in the top, this top row of this little block here because of this one. Can't be in the bottom because of that guy. And it can't be here because of this one. So there's only these two left. So you put a mark there because there's only two possibilities. And this is the same so far as Snyder notation. So you can look up Snyder notation, and it's common and popular. Similar here because it can't go to that one from here. And what else? Let's see. These two must be in one of those two because it can't be either of those. This one blocks it from those two places. And that's it. We have our ones marked in every single block. A block is a 3x3. There's a block here, here, here. So 9 cells in a square make one block. And then I'm going to do this as well. And that means now, actually, even in this column, these are the only two spots where a 1 could go. And so the parentheses mark that out. The only two places in this block, there's parentheses around them in the row and in the column. Okay, and I'm going to move along, and let's look at the 2's. That's the only spot there. There's the only spot there. Looks like down here. Oh, yep, right there's the only spot down here. Can't go in either of those two cells because this one blocks from there and this one blocks from there. And now, this is a fancy trick because you know that it has to be in one of those two cells, which means it cannot be in either of these two cells because, you know, we've already, one of those two is already claiming the whole row, basically. So then we're left with only those two spots in this block. And I also, let's see, okay, so we've got that and that. Now, I also like to mark here, these are the only two places in the row where a 2 could appear. And now, because I put a 2 in this block, I want to fill it in with the rest of the possibilities. And so you'll see some different kind of notation here. This says the 2 is possible, but there's no parentheses. So it's not narrowed down to only 2 places in the block or in the row. All I know is that I've looked at these cells and I know the 2 is possible here. So once I see there's a mark in a block, I know that it's not possible in the rest of the cells of that block because that's just the convention that I follow. All right, moving along. 3's. Oh, those are all done. 4. Looks like we have to place some notes up here. So it's going to be there and there and there and there. 5. Done. 6. There we go. 6's have to go here. And now those block it from being down here, and so 6's have to go there. Now this is a cool thing, because the 2's have to go in one of these two places, and the 6's also have to go in one of those two places. Nothing else fits. One's a 2, the other is a 6. And so that's when I use this to say nothing else is possible in these two cells. All right. Yes, we do have only those two cells in the column can be a 6. And then those are the other two spots where a 6 could go in that block up there. All right, 7 only goes there and there. Now, this is extra cool. So the 7 has to go in one of these two places. And whichever one it goes in, it's going to then determine which place it goes down here, right? Like if this is a 7, then this one can't be, which means this is. Or vice versa, if this was a 7, that one can't be, which means this is. And so either way, the 7 is placed in the column, in both of those columns, which means the 7 cannot go down here in either of those two. This is called an X-wing, and it's based on the pattern of if the 7 is here, it has to be diagonally there, or if it's here, it has to be diagonally there, and that makes like an X. And so it turns into what we call a strong link, which means the only two spots where it can go, a strong link between the columns there, and eliminates from there, meaning we're left with this one. There's another way we could have determined that, but anyway, that was a cool, that's just a cool technique. Now let's see, that's a link there between those, and that's another sort of X-wing pattern down here. You know, you can identify an X-wing when you have the whole rectangle with 4 corners that have links all the way around. All right, 8. Anything to mark up with the 8s? Yeah, only those two could be an 8. And only those two in the column can be an 8, which means we have those two left down here. Oh, in this row, of course, it's a 7, 8. 7 and 8 are the only ones possible in that whole row. So clearly. And I put an 8 there, which means I want to fill in the rest of the marks for 8 down here. So it could go in any of those spots. And nothing really interesting up here to mark. So finally, the 9s. One of those two must be the 9. One of those two must be the 9. In this, oh wait, no, never mind. Okay, that's all I see off the top of my head at a glance. So now what? I have filled in the marks. Oh, what did I miss over here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 8. Somehow I missed the 8s here. So one of those two has to be an 8. Because those are the only ones left in the block, the only ones left in the column. Okay. But this is a difficult enough Sudoku that just going through this process did not solve it. Sometimes it can. Of course, this user has already marked in a lot of the values that maybe we could have turned up if we were starting from the beginning, but that wasn't my purpose here. So next up, I want to go through and finish the full note. So this is like a partial notation. You notice there's a lot of blank spaces for candidates. We don't know, we haven't looked at whether or not a 1, or let's see, a 2 could go here or not. So just go through and continue filling in the rest of those details. Then we can come back and check for fancier things. I guess we could take a little cheater peek here and see if there's anything that this app that I use and created has found. And so far, no. So we are good to go. And let's see, I will start down here and fill in the rest of the values in this block. Oh, maybe we already did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, we did. Okay, so we'll just mark that as having been fully investigated. And then I will come over and do this one now. So 1, 2, we have 3, 4, 5. We have the 6, 7, 8. Now, oh, this one is actually completely marked up as well. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Let's try maybe this one. We have 3 possible values, and we have 3 filled in, so this is actually done as well. We have 1 through 9 completely marked in this one, which, oh, hold on, undo, back up. Which is interesting, because this cell only has a single value in it. So we maybe could double check here, but it seems like that means that we ruled everything else. So this cannot be a 1, that's true. Cannot be a 2, cannot be a 3, cannot be a 4, cannot be a 5, cannot be a 6, cannot be an 8, cannot be a 9. So this has to be a 7. Everything else, we've looked at all the other possible values, and let me just turn some of this automatic stuff off. So that is, in fact, a 7. That's called a naked single. That's what that's called. You can look that up. You better put the word Sudoku in there when you search it. Okay, so that means now that cannot be a 7. That cannot be a 7. And remember, so now this link said, well, if that's not a 7, this one must be. So now that is a 7. And now, because we marked this up, we very quickly see, oh, well, there was that was only one of 2 places where an 8 could be. So this one must be an 8 up here, because we had marked that as only 2 possible places. And again, this one down here must be the 8, because we had marked that. And now there's only 2 places for an 8. Oops, sorry. Sorry. So now those 2 cannot be 8. Now this one is a new naked single. It's the only possible value there is 7, so we can put that in. And that eliminates this 7, leaving only the 8. Now those cannot be 8. Now that's a new naked single for 9. So you can see how we did a lot of work putting in all of these notes, but now it all pays off to quickly, it's sort of a way to remember all the possibilities and quickly identify what we can fill in next. So that eliminates that 9, leaving only a 7. And that means this cannot be a 7, which leaves only the 2 there. Oops. Only the 2 there, and that's the 6. Let's see, was there more? Oh yes, we had this mark up here. So we said only the 2 had to be in one of those 2 places. We put an 8 there, meaning it can't be the 2, so the 2 must be here. And now that puts the 4 there, which eliminates the 4 from that one, meaning the 4 must be there. And we can get rid of that. Okay. I think we followed through all of the notation we had written so far and just quickly filled in all of that much of the board. And so then that leaves us with those filled in. The 1 and the 9 could go in either place, according to our notes. Now this also means the 1 and the 9 cannot go here. So that leaves only 1 value left. I guess you could also just look at this block and say there's only 1 value left in here. Same as the row. Anyway, what's the value? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like a 6. Cool. Great. Let's look, I guess, maybe at this one and make sure we have all of our notes filled in. We have 1s, 2s, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need the 8s. Where can 8 go? Only in one of these 2 places. And where could 9 go? Only here. And now we have a 2 marked, which means I know I filled in 2s for the whole block, and it's the only one left, so that's got to be the 2. That it gets rid of this 2 and makes that the 2, and then it makes that the 6, which gets rid of this 6, leaving this as the only one left in the block. Follow the link to the 8, follow the link to the 1, which eliminates that 1, which means this must be the 1, which eliminates that 1, which means this must be the 1, and that must be the 9. Now, what's left in this row must be 2, 8, because there's 2 values there. There's only 2 open cells, so I know the 2 and 8 must go here, but there's a 2 there, so that's got to be the 8, which means that's the 2, and that's the 8. And what's left here? We've got 1, we need the 2 in here, it's got to be that one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So, just wanted to show you how I approach Sudokus. You called out for help. Here's my help. I will leave a link below to the app I'm using and to this game exactly as I started it. If you want to follow along, try it for yourself. And I hope you have fun.